understand that? It hasn't been the color of your skin, eyes, or hair. Those are inherently not the problems. If anything, it is a demonstration of the beauty of the diversity of the human genome. You are the lightest skinned indigenous people on the planet. Indigenous to Norway and Sweden and France and Switzerland. The politics of justice does not fault people for traits they cannot control, including people described as white. The skin and the features are not the problem. It's not the human intrinsically, it's the hierarchy existentially. Anti-whiteness is anti the construct of whiteness, which was meant to be anti everybody else. The only people who had the power to create that hierarchy also had a plan for the descendants of that hierarchy. Do you understand that? They had a plan. You were part of that plan. They planned for you not only to take the money and run, they planned for you to react the way you're reacting when we bring this very fact up to you. The power is still imbalanced. I mean, what language am I speaking to you in? Are either of us in England? Like, this is not a language that's native to most of my ancestors on a platform owned by who? Who can censor and edit what I say to you based on certain words that they deem appropriate or inappropriate. What they didn't plan for is people outside of the definition of whiteness to gain the power to tell you the truth about what that did to us as equal human beings. They didn't plan for that. And so in that way, they left you holding the bag. And since they didn't plan for that, they didn't prepare you for the natural anxiety that would naturally come about when somebody says you are holding the spoils of an unconscionable historical crime. That's got to be scary. Deflection, the denial, the whataboutism. Yeah, that's part of your inheritance too. And you're right about something. It's not fair to be judged personally for something that someone else did collectively. It's almost like you inherited a company and somebody told you about the asset sheet, but not the liabilities. When in fact, in that inheritance, you would naturally be left holding both. We're the liability sheet. They didn't tell you about us. But we're here to let you know that as unfair as it is, they left you holding something that you're innocent of committing or responsible for distributing. Most pro-capitalist ideology is in defense of the inheritors of the spoils of empire holding on to the hoard. Most things called socialism ideology are the moral justifications all the way up into the Bible, up into Jesus's teachings about spreading that out equally in an egalitarian fashion. But the white skin is not the problem. The blonde hair and the blue eyes isn't the problem. I don't succumb to any supremacist narrative that narrates me as supreme for being black. Fully 19% of my DNA is European. That means out of 1,000 ancestors, 190 of them are European. If I diminish your humanity in any way, I diminish a part of my humanity as well. I don't want to be supreme. I don't want to lord over you, but I will not have anyone lording over me either. There has been an injustice, and the mechanics of that injustice had an inheritance component. Unfortunately, you've been left holding the bag. And if you do not listen to us, you will by default act in ways that affirm the thing that you're being accused of. How's that feel? If not good, listen to what I'm saying, and let's find a solution together.
Whew. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about any of you, whether you're in the audience right now on live, and if you are, shout out to you. Or if you're looking in the bushes, or if you catch the replay, I wanted to make sure that I led with that, because that piece there for my next guest, and And this is why he's a TED Talk speaker, a CNN correspondent. I mean, yes, it's out there for you. So I just wanted to make sure that there is. I want you to kind of take away some key factors here when you hear what our next guest was saying in that. And I think it all boils down to accountability among us. And I think it also reigns true to what we have to represent as a people, as human beings, not just as an ethnicity or race, but as human beings, how we need to remain steadfast, maintain deunification, and not focus so much of segregation, not focus so much on being a divided nation. It's so many things. There's so many different elements to this that I wanted to make sure that I led with that. Once I knew, once my next guest decided to accept my invitation, I had to make sure that I was completely prepared. I had to make sure I had my bra on so I could be ready to, just make sure that I was ready to kind of bless you with his presence. So without further ado, I just want to present to you and to introduce to others Theo E.J. Wilson. Here we go.
Miss Faith, how are you? Yeah. Miss Faith, are you there? Hello? Hello? Hey.
Yeah, Wilson, I was still the intro, so they heard you the whole time as my intro was going.
Oh, Lord, today, I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't mean to mess up the intro. You got to get the intro right. My bad. I was like, oh, no.
I was like, why is he talking right now? You didn't hear the intro? You didn't hear
I didn't hear the music.
You didn't hear the music? Oh, okay.
I didn't hear the music.
Why are you talking
My bad.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah, but no.
My bad. Maybe when you do the editing, maybe you can just edit that part out and just play the song or the thing. My bad. I'm there. Yeah, I'm just, I am so intermediate when it comes to this. I'm still learning when it comes to editing, but no, that's all right. I'll figure it out. But but nonetheless, with that, all that being, I just appreciate you being here. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And you did make the time for me and my little bitty platform. So I do appreciate your presence here. It really, it's really not take it for granted. Like I said, it's an honor for you to be here and amongst us. Let me real quick. I just wanted to welcome my guest, Miss Stevie. Shout out to her. I'm sorry, Mr. Wilson. You have to excuse me. Every time Miss Stevie around, I gotta go an octave higher when I greet her. You did me.
Stevie is one of my colleagues. She's also a content creator, and she's been doing this for like over 20 years now. And she's she's one of my inspirations behind doing my platform. So I have to acknowledge her, So shout out to her, as well as Girly Girl. And she also, Ms. Stevie stated, absolutely, I'd agree with him wholeheartedly, because we know the root of the issue is white supremacy. And I want us to get more into that, Mr. Wilson. My makeup brand, I don't have a makeup brand, honey. What you mean by makeup brand? If you're complimenting me, I appreciate that, but I know nothing about makeup, honey. But thank you so much for that. Yes, and so she also said his voice is so golden. Yes, it is. Definitely would love to have you on the show, TJ, because everything that he speaks on, I speak on. And yes, and Faith will tell you what she does, by the way. Yeah, she's one of those type of political commentators, and she got in trouble on Instagram for it too. So yes, she did. Yeah, so she's one of those. So if you could, I will definitely send you her information. And hopefully y'all be able to connect in that way. So I would definitely look forward to that. I would love to have a discussion. Yeah. So Theo E.J. Wilson. So before we begin, with your journey, I just based on that piece that you put out there, I wanted you to give us the key takeaways that you wanted us to receive from that?
Listen, thank you for playing that one. I wasn't quite sure which one you were going to play. That was inspired by James Baldwin.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Because James Baldwin probably was one of the clearest thinking cultural critics of the structure of white supremacy and how it affects folks in this country. And one of the things that he said was that y'all ain't really white per se. Whiteness is an artifice. It is a construction of humankind that was there to put people of European descent and those who fit the description of whiteness above and supreme to those who did not. The very construct was there to other folks. And the timing of that video was right after Charlie Kirk's assassination, where Charlie Kirk made one of his statements came to light, where he said that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was anti-white. And a lot of the people who agreed with Charlie Kirk and who were grieving Charlie Kirk at the time were putting that out there as exemplary of what America should go for and towards. And I said, this is what happens when you teach history without context.
Yes.
Because if the Civil Rights Act was anti-white, whiteness is anti-everyone else. And therefore, it was meant to be inclusive of those who were on the outskirts of the definition of whiteness. It has nothing to do with discriminating against people of European descent. Rather, it's there to include those who were discriminated against. And until we have a reckoning with that, then what's crazy to me is in this resurgent MAGA era that we're living in, the very people who don't want to be reminded of racism in the past by suppressing its lessons become racist in the present.
Wow.
So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's hustling backwards. One of my favorite phrases, because I see what would the blowback be. So that was the impetus for that video.
Okay, and thank you for that. The racist podcast who dropped out of college, who got popped like popcorn. Yeah.
Damn. I ain't gonna get into that.
Yeah. So, but let me ask you this, just based off of what was mentioned. Do you believe that there is more Black dependency than white supremacy?
Black dependency in what way?
In the sense of, like, a lot of times when we talk about, when we equate white supremacy, and it, to me, and it's just my opinion, it may not, and it may not resonate with others, but just my personal opinion, I think a lot of times, a lot of Blacks, a lot of, not all, they associate white supremacy or trying to justify their inability to exceed or to succeed or to excel. You know, I think they use the whole white supremacy theory as a means of tearing each other down, but yet they want to model after, you know, those standards. So I just kind of want to kind of use that as a reference, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. What your question is. My short answer is no. And I'm going to give you my long answer to that. Black people have been socialized to feel as if there is something inherently wrong, lazy, or dependent about us because it is a projection, largely from the folks who've been dependent upon the system of white supremacy in general for the last 400 years. And I'll put it like this. The slave master was more dependent upon slavery than the slave himself. You never seen a master run away from the plantation. And in that respect, the slaves were freer. The systems of white supremacy have made white folks dependent upon the advantage that it artificially gives them. Black people historically have showed superhuman resilience in the face of it. Superhuman resilience. I referred to this teaching by Dr. Joy DeGruy Leary, who wrote a book called Post-Traumatic Slavery Syndrome. And what she says is that when you look at the dysfunction of Black folks, because of course there's dependency on the welfare state, of course there is a class of us who are race hustlers who make excuses for our failures rather than taking direct action to remedy our dysfunction. However, largely speaking, Black people's resilience is on scary level because we have we got to give ourselves credit.
But it's kind of suppressed sometimes. But go ahead.
Yeah. No. If you look at how other peoples who encountered the raw wrath of white supremacy fared, if you're looking at other indigenous peoples, other peoples who were eradicated, the Tasmanians eradicated, right? To a large extent, most Native American tribes and their numbers eradicated. They did not face that machine coming out the other side playing blues, gospel, and funk. They did not face that machine hidden above their weight. When you look at the Dalits of India, this is the one who is in the bottom class of the Indian caste system. You have a situation where they haven't punched above their weight, haven't created a Martin Luther King, anything like that. And their whole entire, now let me speak fairly of these folks. They've had movements and they've had leaders of those movements, but those movements have not made the headway that ours have. So if you economically cripple a people, divorce them from their history, enslave them for 400 years, and when that slavery is emancipated, and shackle them in Jim Crow and in convict leasing and in sharecropping, and they still somehow manage to create the space to find themselves in the highest levels of government in that very society, that means that you're up against a superhuman people. And so for the small minority of us who race hustle, who blame Whitey for every damn thing, you have mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters in the community creating after school programs. And you have Black men who are fighting their way through the hood to go to college. You have a large percent of us who show abnormal resilience in the face of these things that these other folks complain about. And I found that conservative media outlets have profited from the Jesse Smolets of the world, have profited from those, you see what I'm saying? Who fake race hustle to make it, to deflect from the idea that they still have culpability in the system that needs to be dismantled. So there's a few race hustlers, by far more resilient survivors and thrivers in our community. That's what I say about that.
And well said, by the way. But I want to ask you, and I know I might get some backlash for this, but honestly, yeah, I don't care. But my thing is that, to me, and I don't know about you, and I want to ask you this, because do you really truly believe that we are benefiting from being integrated? But do you believe that we are benefiting from being integrated? Because we were better off when we were when we were segregated. I mean, we were better. I mean, especially after, when we talk about Black Wall Street and, the Renaissance, and, you go back into those period times. Like, do you think we're benefiting from integration? Because
I think it's a very double-edged sword. If you talk to the Black folks who are alive, our elders who survived Jim Crow, they'll tell you two stories. The story about how within our community, it was warm, there was trust, there was cooperation, there was businesses built. And on the outside of our community, you had the formation of large-scale white spontaneous mob violence who could destroy our lives. And I don't think we in the integration era fully appreciate the monster that was mob white violence. I don't think we fully appreciate what that thing was. Because when you look at the fact that lynchings were public activities, that they were photographed, when you look at the fact that they were advertised in newspapers, put in church pamphlets, when you have the idea that at any point, no matter how well off you were in a Black society, a white child could accuse you of something and you end up hanging from a tree. When you look at the fact that Black business owners were often the highest targets of spontaneous mob lynch violence, in the integration era, us putting that under our heel, creating anti-hate crime legislation, the NAACP, the Urban League, and these things bought us the latitude to speak as woke, Malcolm, and militant as we want, dang near, in this age, until social media censorship was a thing. So in a way, integration bought us a avenue to speak real Malcolm out here without the fear of the KKK actually showing up at your door for real. Or a Molotov cocktail coming through your window for real.
But they still,
they're still around us though. They still, they may not be as, but they're still, they're still lurking.
Oh, of course they do. And what you have over the internet is black folks knocking them out. I did a report on this with the African Diaspora News Channel, but realistically, think about that, right? Now, I'm going to get into the downside of integration in a second.
Okay.
So don't think that there isn't a downside. You are correct in perceiving the fact that we've lost something in this experiment. But let's just appreciate the fact that, like, they call you an N-word. You still, to this day, got the latitude to break their jaw and claim hate crime legislation and get away with it because of the fact that our ancestors who fought for integration bought us this latitude. I mean, look here. And like white people know, like, yo, if you throw the N-word out, you take your own chances at that point. You see what I'm saying? And all over the internet, chin checks, FAFO stories, get knocked out, dropped, all kind of stuff is happening because black folks don't take that no more. Integration actually bought us that.
But that's the thing, Theo. But what about those who, that, on the reverse side, that the blacks calling these people crackers and spics and, all, is it the accountability goes both ways?
Oh yeah. And I've seen it go both ways. Listen, there was a video recently of this brother mouthing off with this little short Mexican dude at some restaurant. That Mexican dude dropped him down. It was a co-up, bam, dropped that brother. It was a one-hitter quitter. So like you were saying, for example, I grew up with essays. I grew up with Mexicans. So you know what I'm saying? If you call a Mexican that word,
don't let that fool you. Don't let that
you take your chances. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that it's the latitude or you know what I'm saying, like calling white folks out of their name. Black folks don't like that either. Like if you call a white person their racial slur and there's no like, you know what I'm saying, intention behind it, you just do that because you're mad. Black folks actually largely frown on that as well. So I want to make it clear. I've seen it go both ways. And brother mouthed off at that Mexican. He was a rapper, bruh. So you know, so here's what I will say. What integration took away from us needs to be analyzed. Integration largely took away our solidarity. When we had the latitude to move out of black neighborhoods, the first ones who could do it was the ones who afforded to. Well, that actually dropped the value of those neighborhoods and their homes, right? Left us open for gentrification, right? You have a situation now where we never addressed our internalized self-hatred, right? We have internalized self-hatred. How could you not? After 400 years of being told that you are less than.
But it's plenty of self-hatred. But how do you rise above that? But when you talk about gentrification, I have my views on that too, because I don't, to me, I'm more here with gentrification than I am here with it. I know some people may disagree, but I'm here for it more so than not, because it seems like that's what it takes for us as especially blacks as a whole to even have access to certain resources or access to certain things that we don't even want to even inquire about, because all we want to do is they inquire about alcoholic beverages, all kind of drugs and junk food, but they don't, we endorse more of those things. We endorse more of the alcohol, we endorse more of the weed, we endorse more of everything else that is so detrimental to all of us, but then they complain about gentrification, which benefits the community as a whole.
Let me ask you something, sister. When I throw out the term redlining, what does that mean to you?
Redlining? As far as...
Okay, so redlining was the government and banking practice of literal ghettoization. So I'm going to throw myself in the mix here. I'm from a black neighborhood in Denver, Colorado called Park Hill. Park Hill was a part of an exhibit that they had at the museum here called The History of Redlining in Colorado. What redlining literally did was real estate developers back in like post-World War II, and even before that, would take real estate maps and draw red lines around black communities and say, do not invest in these places. Do not put resources. There were toxic loans called contract buys. Chicago was ghettoized because of these.
And what ended up happening was that you had a creation by government policy. We were excluded from HUD. We were excluded from loans that could actually appreciate our houses. And largely what ended up going on was that we were trapped in cycles of poverty. And I want you to look at this. You've heard of inheriting wealth, right? My granddaddy died and he left me $1 million.
Right.
You can also inherit poverty. Now, I think one of the things that we have to be careful of as Black folks is internalizing our dysfunction. And here's what I'll say. The very things that you see Black people suffering from right now, crime, drugs, teenage pregnancy, alcoholism, were exactly the fate of white people 100 years ago when they were ghettoized. The Italians, the Irish, the Polish, when they were trapped in the bottom of the economic spectrum before they were assimilated into whiteness. Well, 100 years ago, the gangsters wasn't in Chirac. They weren't Black, were they? They were Al Capone. It wasn't crack. It was alcohol, the bootlegging. And the bullets flew the same. The death was the same. The crime rate and the murder was all white on white crime. So what we have known for the longest time is that if you trap people in the cycles of poverty, certain things happen to them.
Yes, I agree with that. Yes.
So that's why I wanted to ask about redlining, because what I see in my community, and this is what we did, because like my neighborhood was a blood neighborhood. There was bloods everywhere. Sometimes when I speak, I'll be like, "What up, blood?" You know what I'm saying? Because I came from a literal gang infested neighborhood. A lot of my homies are dead now.
Colorado?
Yeah, because
really?
a lot of the because a whole lot of the G's from California, when they were either escaping or whenever the prison system sent them out of the state, they landed in Denver and hit our Black neighborhoods like an invasive species. So I grew up under gangbanging. They used to call us baby LA. And in my neighborhood, we blamed ourselves. It didn't come out that my neighborhood was redlined, divested from, and intentionally impoverished by our banking industry until after the year 2000. It's when they finally admitted it. So in the meantime, in the 80s and in the 90s, everybody cripping in blood, and we see crack, we see alcohol, we see hood stuff, we see buildings dilapidating, and we blame us. But the fact is, if you trace it a little further, the things that affect poor people, addiction, violence, can be traced back to the intentional creation of poverty.
Yeah, and that rings true. I mean, even more so now. You know, when we talk about poverty, and it's not a justification, but it's our reality, right? So yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah, but I really appreciate you adding your perspective on what I was asking about, because that was something I was looking forward to hearing from you when I was kind of doing a little bit of brainstorming. So I was hoping that I would get your perspective on those things. So
and let me just say one more thing before. Thank you, sis. And let me just say one more thing before we leave this subject, right? When a Black man kill a Black man, he going to jail. Like, it ain't even no question. When Tyreek killed Jamal, Tyreek going away. Black people are often held accountable for their crimes. In fact, to a disproportionate degree, to the point where we have the Truth in Sentencing Project. We find white guy killed a dude, second-degree murder. Black guy killed a dude, second-degree murder. And we found in the Truth in Sentencing Project, so these boys both killed. They both going away, being held accountable for their acts. But we found time and time again that judges would often give 2 or 3 times the sentences for the Black offender for the exact same crime. So we're held accountable. If we leave our babies behind, you know what I'm saying, child support be coming, you know what I'm saying? If we fail as people, there is often accountability, more often than not, accountability for us, as there should be.
Right.
As there should be.
Yes.
So this ain't me saying, no, we should be held accountable.
And we are. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and we are. We literally are held accountable more often than not. So I just wanted to put that out there.
And more often, accountability is on us, is more highlighted, is more on Front Street than it is for whites. Because whites are, a lot of people may not believe this, but whites are held accountable as well. But it's not it's more foreshadowed to me. It's overshadowed the accountability of Blacks, because they always want to use us as an example. So I mean, that does
the system is the system, and it does what it does. You know what I'm saying? So It's sad, but it's true.
It is. So I'm good. I'm glad you're on one accord with that one. And I just want to tell you before we move on, I really need for you to get in contact with Miss Stevie because she's been on. I haven't seen Miss Stevie comment so much on my chats, but she has been on a roll. So I really need for y'all to connect because she is. It's like she is really itching to get on this. So yes, I want to kind of get more into your backstory because there was, because I know there was a little deal that was, in from Denver, Colorado, that, I know you was kind of like, birthed into something great, just based on who you are right now. But before there was some beginnings, there was some beginnings, right? So yeah, we all had them. So I really look forward. I love to hear about people's childhood, like whether you had a 2-parent household, single parent household, on siblings. I want to hear about some memories that what some of the things that you enjoy, some of the hobbies you acquired during your child. Not too much just childhood for right now, because I'm going to stop the timeline. I want to get more into. Did you have the humble beginnings? Would you have to use Women Fresh Joy as bubble bath, or did you have passing out the food, or bunk beds? You make a pallet on the floor. Did you have to have sofa beds, or did you come from an upbringing where you were bused to school, or you had more a well-to-do background? Like, give us a little bit more of your childhood.
Yeah, my daddy is a veteran, former gangster from Brooklyn. He got drafted in Vietnam in '65. My mama was a model. My mama used to model for Essence magazine.
Oh.
Extremely, extremely beautiful woman. Some would say my mama was out of my daddy's league. She was so fine. You know what I'm saying?
What's her name? Let me look her up.
Claudia, but back in the day, she went by Claudia Johnson or Claudia Gordon. Now she's Claudia Wilson. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Huh?
What did she go by back then? At that time.
I think it was Claudia Johnson. I'm not sure if they still have stuff from her, but she was a model.
Okay.
And so she worked for the phone company, whatnot. So my father ended up being stationed here after Vietnam because he was from Brooklyn. So they stationed him in Colorado Springs. My mama got moved out here because she worked for the phone company. They met at a party that my daddy's Vietnam brother, is a Vietnam fellow soldier, had, because that fellow soldier worked at my mama's job. So he introduced them. And I was born in Park Hill. I was born in a historically Black neighborhood. Like I said, there was gang activity there. It was my daddy who kept me out of gangs because he's a former gangster. You know what I'm saying? So
really, was he now?
Yeah. My dad understood gang life very well. And about at the age of 4, I tested with higher than average IQ, which had me go to this other school that I was bused from my hood. Because of the fact that my IQ test is so high, they put me in. Huh?
So you were considered a child prodigy?
Borderline, yes. I played in front of concert halls because I classically trained pianist. So I was that Black boy who showed potential, and they pulled me into white spaces. They pulled me into white spaces because of how high that I tested. And so my childhood was, we ended up moving from Park Hill to a predominantly white neighborhood. And that's where I got the classical music training, but I still went to these Black schools. So on the weekends, it was Bach and Beethoven, and on the weekdays, it was Snoop and Dre.
I love that for you.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn to move between both worlds. And so anyway, there's a whole lot to go over, but I'll say that being classically trained as a piano player, being somebody who showed promise as an artist. I actually draw. I got 2 scholarships for my ability to draw. Ended up opening doors for me. And I could easily stand here and be like, well, yeah, like I've higher than average IQ. I'm scoring a 97th percentile and all that. But the fact is, it was my community. It was my community. It was my family. And it was the fact that my pops around. Look, had my pops left, you know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about that. Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And all love to my mother, because she really grounded me in spirituality. She grounded me in accountability. My mother taught me great lessons about forgiveness And you know what I'm saying? She's the one that made sure that we do our chores. So I got to show my mom love on that. But it was my pop sticking around. By the time I was like 12, I remember my dad went on this business trip, and I remember I wasn't listening to my mama. And she's like, wait till your daddy get home. Then I was like, okay. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So,
yes, always that. There's always wait till your father get home.
right. Had my daddy not stuck around or had something happen to him, we would not have left Park Hill. There is a high likelihood I would have been a blood. High likelihood. So I could say, oh, I had higher than average IQ and I could play the piano and was classically trained and I could draw my ass off. Without my community, I wouldn't be nothing. So that's my early life. Shout out to my sister. I have a little sister named Sydney, and she grew up in that exact same environment. So yeah.
I love that. It's just just the two of you?
Just the two of us, yeah.
Yeah, and that's so amazing, Theo. I love that because I'm so glad that you wasn't sheltered in a sense where you were able to get it kept you grounded and you experienced the best of both worlds. So I love the fact that you have at early on the sense of diversity and the cultural melting pot of it all. So I'm glad that you was able to experience that. But you were a classically trained pianist. Any other instrument?
I was on guitar for a little bit, but other than that, I am a professional singer. So I've been singing professionally for the last last 13 years. So acting. I got a weird proclivity to pick up any art quickly. So the test that I took showed me with creative genius ability on the right side of my brain. So.
Okay, right.
So, if I'd been left brain genius, I'd have been a more math, science, STEM guy. I've been able to code and do things like that. But I was more genius on the right side of my brain, which had more to do with creativity. So, yeah. So once you score above 90 percentile, I was 97 percentile, then,
Okay. Sorry, because I thought that creativity was the left side. Okay, I was wrong. Okay, I stand corrected.
It's all good. It's all good, sis.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I'm sorry, I was misinformed.
No. It's an easy mistake. It's an easy mistake.
Yeah. So go ahead. You was done. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No. That was the base of my childhood. The rest of it. The adolescence was a little crazy.
Into adolescence. Okay, let me pause there. And by the way, Stevie says she reached out. And she's saying that she told nothing but the truth. Yeah, so she's just saying she reached out. Oh, nothing but the truth on IQ. Okay, I just want to make sure I acknowledge my audience. But yeah, I wanted to get more into the childhood because, like I said, what were your fondest memories, and what are some of the memories that kind of give you a dose of reality? Because you sound like you were brought up in the way that you should have as far as being grounded at all. But what are some of your fondest memories in your childhood? What did you take from it? What was instilled in you at that time that still resonates with you? Like those type of things. And what are some of the things that were most challenging? Like, because I think I asked this to Jeff Stewart that I had on the other day. And I asked him also, what are some of the challenges that you were subject to that you didn't really realize it was a challenge until you got older? Sometimes as you get older, you revere, certain the way that you was raised by your parents, you revere them. But then as you get older, you have the capacity of judging them in some sense. So
yeah, no,
I'm sorry, it's a loaded question.
No. Look, on my father's side, my father's folks are Jamaican, and so we went out there. Yeah, so my lineage breaks down 3/4 Black American, 1/4 Jamaican. And so on my father's side, where my Wilson surname comes from, we went down to the island a few times when I was a kid, and I just remember the blue water and the coconuts, and we had a mango tree outside.
Yes.
Goat milk that I didn't like, but it's part of a fond memory. You know what I'm saying? So me being of Jamaican heritage patrilineally, really grounded me in the broadness of Blackness to a certain extent. My grandfather was a Tuskegee Airman, and he was my grandfather. Now you can easily find him. His name was Theobald G. Wilson. I was named after him.
Yo,
And-
boy.
Yeah, because don't any of them call him Teaball. I'll go down there and be like Teaball. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? So that's an old Jamaican. So my grandfather was Theobald Wilson, and he was part of the 99th Pursuit Squadron of the Tuskegee Airmen. And just going back to Brooklyn and being in, like, those are fond memories. And then of course there was the part where my dad, he took us up to the mountains a lot. So me and my sister, when we moved to the new neighborhood, we got into these programs that still was mostly Black centered, taking Black kids up into the mountains. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a feature I did on my grandfather. And that to the right is my dad. My dad, when he really got into the West, like my dad loved the old West. So he from Brooklyn, but when he came out here, he really got into the Black cowboy thing. There's a whole history of Black cowboys,
Absolutely.
So my pops really became almost a historian that way. So he would take me and my sister up to the mountains, and we ended up going skiing with a mostly Black program called the Sippers and Sliders. It was taking Black kids skiing. We used to go hiking with the Jim Beckworth Mountain Club. I'm telling you, so.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm loving this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So right. So but then on the way up, we was listening to like the Warren G album. Now we going through the mountains.
I love it. Okay. Yes.
We listening to Warren G up the mountain. You feel me? I never forget this. Everybody in the car singing regular. Just hit the east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find. So through the Rockies, right? So it's like so it was a really deep baptismal in just developing two sides of myself at the same time. So it's just so that was cool. In my adolescence, so they took me out of this majority white school where I was getting very, very high marks, and they was praising my intellect and all that.
Pause. All right. Yeah. So adolescence, because I know. I'm sorry. No, you good, because I like the segue that we're going into, but I wanted to kind of gear you towards it, because this is where I talk about elementary and junior high school, the things of. Because that's why I wanted to make sure before you continued on, I wanted to make sure that I ushered you into the elementary and junior high school stage. Because a lot of people, like I said, I enjoy listening to those stories as well, because we don't understand how pivotal that is, how that important is to our self-discovery, how we just, how we get more into the acne phase and the growth spurts, and up in the staircase, and learning about your anatomy, and how you interact with the teachers and the other students, learning social skills. So I really want you to give us more into the elementary and junior high school of it all.
So this is actually a pivotal moment.
Yes.
Fifth grade, I come out of elementary school with this bright feeling of a future, and then my middle school, they dropped me into this hood ass middle school that just it was super hood. Now I came into I came into middle school from that white elementary school, basically, as some folks would say, talking white. That's what they said.
Okay, proper English. Okay.
I was like, hey guys, what's going on, man? This is gonna be so radical. I can't wait, dude. This is gonna be so exciting, man. It's like gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to go to junior high school, dude. I'm gonna be on top of everything. I'm gonna be the man, dude. And when I got to that thing,
You were talking like that? Are you driving me? You was talking like that?
I was totally talking like that, because it's like that's how my friends talk. So it's like that's how we talk, dude. Right? Like, and I mean, it was like natural to me, dude.
Major shock. Okay.
So look, I came into that super Black hood ass middle school talking like that. They were like, bruh, what's wrong with you, homie?
Right. What the hell?
They were like, you out here. And plus, because of them Jamaican heritage, they dress like church when they go into school.
Right.
So now, like, this is literally the same year that I'm dating myself, but this is the same year that the Chronic dropped. It's the same year that the Chronic dropped. Everybody sagging. Everybody got flannels, because it's the 90s. Everybody got flannels on.
Yes.
I come into school looking like Steve Urkel.
Oh, well, come on, Theo,
You know
really?
what I mean? Like I'm over here looking like Urkel, and everybody looking like Pac, and so here's what ended up happening. Now I'm a trained fighter. My dad trained me to box from the time I was 2 years old. When I was 10 years old, I got trained in Taekwondo. So I actually could throw down and still can. But
Yes.
my pops discouraged me from fighting because we knew that these boys was armed. So
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but
you can't bring a knife to a gun show, Theo.
what's up?
You can't bring a knife to a gun show.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I remember I had one bully who was a blood, and he was the first time I had ever seen crack cocaine because the boy's older brother had him serving with him. So this is the first time, like, you know what I'm saying? He showed it, middle school, you first get your locker. And you open up his locker, he had this little paper cup full of crack rocks, yo.
Oh
You know what I'm
Lord.
saying? And so these are just like these flash of memories, but he was the most feared kid. I was the most unfeared kid. So he gets to picking on me. And he backed me into a literal corner in the locker room, and I actually had to whoop his ass. I actually had to put hands on him. But then
Right.
I beat him so bad that I realized that I was like, oh, shoot, he could come back and shoot me. So in the middle of the fight, like I'm on him, and he was trying to push on top of me so that he could look like he was winning. And I knew that if he didn't look like he won, he could actually end my life. So I let him kind of push on top of me and like punch. He got a few of them off. I blocked him. And then the middle school gym teacher came in and put him off. So it looked like he won, but everybody knew. They was like, oh.
Hey, wow.
Right.
Wow.
So through that time, that wasn't the last fight I got into, but I remember being hungry for respect and being baptized in the hoodness of it all.
Baptized in the hood.
I was just baptized in the hoodness of it all because my bullies are actually armed gangsters who sell crack. Full stop. Full stop. You know what I mean? So it's like learning to navigate that world was a super hard baptism, but I did. And so it gave me like a well-rounded way to deal with all sorts of people.
They tried you, didn't they? I know they
That's
just.
right.
Yeah.
You can't come into this black school talking like this, dude. Because everybody's gonna think like you're like weird, dude. So like everyone's gonna like try you or whatnot. And I was like, hey guys, what's going on? You know? And they were like, hey, you little sucker dude. Little sucker dude. You know what I'm saying? So like,
What the hell? Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So now, did you learn? Like, did you start getting into the girls at that time in the junior high, or did that
I was
happen?
getting into them, but they weren't into me. They so weren't into me, man. Look.
Because you was talking like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was so basically dealing with women. I feel like my hormones came online super early. I feel like I was the first one with a deep voice, first one with a beard, first one to have muscle. I feel like I was the first one to just do everything when it came to puberty. And that includes like wanting these girls, man. And I remember like I was rejected so much, like it caused like I was hella rejected. So it caused me like depression. Like I was clinically depressed on top of the crazy stuff happening with the gangster system and me having to fight all the time and feel like I'm under threat all the time from these armed ass bullies. I felt like when nobody liked me because that's getting put in the friend zone for the first time for a thug. You know what I'm saying? I experienced that when I was in middle school. And just adjusting, like adapting, because I was like, all right, so I actually got to get a little swag if I want these girls. I actually got to get a little sauce on me if I want these girls, right?
Who got you into did your father or any other male figures in your life? Did they kind of groomed you into like getting more into your masculinity, so to speak? Like did they guide you towards that? Like, okay.
Yeah, Pop. I wish you could see a photo of my dad from back in the day. He looked like Dolomite, man. You know what I'm saying? Like my daddy looked like a Dolomite extra from back in the day. So it's like you're not gonna be a gangster from Brooklyn with having a little ism on you. You know what I'm saying? So Pop, he kind of cultured me into two things: understanding that femininity was divine, and understand that if you want any parts of that, you got to get a little bit of you got to get a little swag on you. You know what I'm saying? So. I was, but realistically, unfortunately, who taught me more about how to attract women was these homies I had who was the playboys. You know what I'm saying? So I actually got put on a little bit. I actually got put on this gang called Playboys. It was a whole thing. Anyway.
A gang called Playboys?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. They was called Playboy Gangsters. We had a little sign and everything. It was just it was really a clique, but
Okay.
it was really a clique. It wasn't like an organized large gang. It was just a clique, but you know, you have to get put on. But they kind of taught me a little bit. And so by the time my senior year of high school rolled around, I done went from straight dweeb status to the man. My senior year of high school, I was finally at the cool kids table. I was a jock, ran track and swam. So I could swim real fast. I could run real fast. So just me being
say about that. All right, let me not go there. I'm sorry. You know what they say, about swimming and running fast. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't even know what that. I actually don't know what they say about that. Yeah, I'm actually at a loss.
Okay, you want to go there? Okay, you want to? All right.
But like, you know what I'm saying? Like me being so on the track, the Jamaican came out. On the track, your boy was quick. You know what I mean? So I could get down the lane. They put me anchor leg in a 4x2. I still got some photos from that. Your boy was just quick, but not fast enough for scholarships and whatnot. My main scholarships came from my brain. You know, got Omega Psi Phi scholarship, Kappa Alpha Psi Phi scholarship, got, you know what I'm saying, scholarship for drawing, NAACP, AXO awards, things like that. So, yeah, so, and I went to Florida A&M University, which is what at the time was the largest HBCU. So then all the sauce, that was like going to school in Wakanda with 20-inch rims. It was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, FAMU, woo, FAMU.
We'll get into that, Theo. We're gonna get into that. But you don't know about, when they say about blacks and swimming and running. I mean, you really don't know. You're not familiar with that at all. I'm sorry to get back on that one. I'm like, I couldn't let that one go.
All I know is that they say we can run. They say we can't swim. I don't know what the rest of the saying is.
I was being facetious. I was being funny. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway.
Right.
So, what high school did you go to?
George Washington High School and Thomas Jefferson High School, and went to Florida A&M University down there at FAMU. So,
all right, but high school, because like I said, I want to try to make it as chronological as possible. So, high school, I know you mentioned that, you had to kind of get more into the swag bag, in junior high. So when you transition into high school, that's a whole nother level of self-discovery there. So I really want to get more into transition into high school, that pivotal time in your life. I want to, can you? I went
to the same high school as Chauncey Billups, the basketball player. So I got into high school the year he left. So Chauncey Billups, he was already Jesus Shuttlesworth. He was already the man. And the fact that you go into school with Chauncey Billups in this athletic, it's his school. I was contemporaries with his brother Rodney Billups. So it's like, just like us knowing the Billups family, the whole world was jocking Chauncey, it seemed, but we knew the Billups family for real. You know what I'm saying? High school at George Washington High School. George Washington was very majority black. At the time, there was still a lot of Bloods that went to that school because we was right down the 65 Monaco bus line. So that even though we were in South Denver and the Bloods was in North Denver and Park Hill, they would just take a quick bus ride down to George, and that's where they was. So I remember they banned red from the school. You couldn't wear red because there was so much gang activity. You just couldn't do it. I remember there was the International Baccalaureate program, which was like for the smarties. And it was mostly a program that like mostly white kids was in. I did not get into that program because my mother didn't know about it. And by the time that like we knew anything, it was too late for me. But I do remember the fact that George Washington High School had high achievement. We were among the highest. And I think, honestly, the International Baccalaureate kids skewed our scores a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I think they skewed the curve.
Why you
You
say
know what
that?
I'm saying? Oh, because them kids tested high as hell. And I didn't feel like I tested super high. I tested high from like my level, but I wasn't on their level. So, just because I had tested high in terms of IQ doesn't mean that I had the kind of intelligence that they were testing for those programs. I had a different kind of intelligence. But
Mm.
that was like, we were also known as like the school with the most swagger at that time. So that's when I got my dress game. Back in them days, I had my wave cap on. I was trying to brush with the 360. Your boy wanted them wave. Boy, I was trying to whip out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get them 360. You got to brush down, bro. And you got to put the Murrays on. Then you got to put the rag on. You know what I'm saying? You got to get
Yes.
that Murrays, bro. You got to get it. You know what I'm saying?
So
So,
were you still doing track and swimming in high school? Like, did you do those?
yeah. Track and swimming is when I finally actually, I mean, that's when I actually, got qualified. Like I was state ranked in both. You know what I mean? So your boy was I was athletic, but I was more intellectual. So my body finally started developing. I finally started getting a little bit of height. Finally started getting a little bit of muscle. You know what I'm saying? So it was just it was a time of discovery for sure, but I still was navigating real hood stuff in high school.
And
You
so,
know,
I'm sorry.
no, so but during this time, it was what happened outside of high school during my high school years, which is when I found my father had found the Ethnic College Counseling Center, which is run by this lady named Pensile McCrae. May she rest in peace. Pensile McCrae used to have this program where she would take Black kids on bus tours
Mm.
to HBCUs, because pretty much all the Black kids in the state was going to the state colleges, Colorado State University, Colorado University, going up to Greeley and stuff. So with this Ethnic College Counseling program, she would have us go to HBCUs. And I was 14 years old. I was a sophomore when this happened. I'm a sophomore in high school. And we taking all these bus tours at HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? We went to Dillard and we went to Lincoln. We went to a few of them. But when I got to FAMU, though, I was like, it's
Well,
it.
that's really.
It's it. It's it. I made the choice to go to Florida A&M when I was 14 years old. And so, though I was navigating stuff socially.
Why that school in particular?
Oh, man, it was hot. And so was the girl. Boy.
Of course.
It was hot. And so, ooh-wee. I went down there like, hey, nah. You know what I'm saying? So, so it was just like, but not only that, Florida A&M had just won Time Magazine Princeton Review College of the Year at that time. They had just defeated Harvard in mock trial. They had some of the highest acceptance standards, and they had one of the prettiest campuses. Florida A&M, because like we actually ended up going to Howard. I didn't like Howard. I didn't like Howard's campus. It just looked like it was just some buildings that was in the middle of the hood. I'm sorry if you went to Howard. I ain't trying to offend you, but
no, I didn't. I said I heard about how the landscaping was. Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, but FAMU, and it was warm, and there was palm trees, and this was right at the time when the South in hip hop was ascending. You know what I'm saying? This was right when Cash Money came out. You know what I'm saying?
You're a head, huh? Yeah,
already.
I see that.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? When Cash Money come out, this was literally I was in the club when Back That Ass Up first dropped. I remember that. I remember that. It was like a spell. Girl, you working with a man, yeah. You bad, yeah, making this big cash, yeah, you bad. You know what I'm saying? I remember, girl, you look good once you bad. Look, and being in the South, see that? It just happened.
Yeah.
And being in the South when that song was first out, it was litty, boy.
It was lit. Yeah.
It was litty. So basically, after I was 14, my my academic career, and I had told Pensal McCray, I told my mom and dad, I was like, this is where I'm going to go, and I'm going to figure out a way to go, and I'm going to make sure that my test scores are high enough. And that's where I went. I decided to go to FAMU.
You stayed on campus, right? I mean, of course you did. Oh, yeah. You stayed on campus, correct?
Oh, yeah. I stayed on campus my first year, and then I stayed literally one block of campus from campus in certain housing that was like apartments, but dedicated to the campus
Right.
for all the rest of the 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So I was always at campus, wasn't nothing to it. I was just always at campus. So, you know, FAMU was a different level because I'm still from Colorado. And though I've been to Jamaica, though I spent my summers in Brooklyn and in Compton where my mom and them family was, I had visited the South, but I was never in the South until
right.
And so that's when the South, and at the time the South was southing. It was southing down there. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, that's what Freaknik was out. You know, Freaknik was around at that time.
Right. I got there the last year of Freaknik, which was 99. I got there the last year of Freaknik. So and I'm talking about, man, look here, these girls, boy, they grew them out the ground, man. They grew them out the ground. I'm talking about, they was from Atlanta, they were from Miami or Orlando. You know what I'm saying? This shades of chocolate, they had that back home. They had that back home, you know what I'm saying? Because your boy is certified chocolate chaser. I like him dark. That's me, certified chocolate chaser. And I've been that way. Even since back then, like the girls I had crushes on was like from Virgin Islands, and they were real dark. I've been a chocolate chaser. That's just my flavor. You know what I'm saying? So, and my partners used to roast me over that. I was like, bruh, roast me all you want.
That's right.
She's bad. I don't know what y'all looking at, but
that's right. That's right.
Chocolate chaser, certified. My wife is African, certified.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like.
So now, Theo, let me ask you. So what did you study?
I literally I got my scholarship for fine arts, and then I actually got into the theater program. I got my degree in theater, which what that?
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
So here, but it was how FAMU taught theater. They taught it in a way that I never, even with education programs that I've seen before, they almost taught theater as applied behavioral science played out on stage. When you talk about how they would analyze characters, they was going deep into the psychology of it all.
Oh, which is a good thing.
Anika Noni Rose, you know, she literally left the program the year before I got there. So now I'm following Anika Noni Rose's footsteps. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know Roy Wood Jr. from you know Roy Wood Jr. He's a comedian. He's on Daily Show, brother.
The name sounds so familiar.
Right. Look up Roy Wood Jr. He used to be scene partners with me when we were doing skits and stuff like that. So Roy Wood Jr. He's from our theater program. You feel me? So that's just kind of what it was. You know, greatness was expected.
Okay.
Greatness was expected out of us. And so, you know, that was just a beautiful time in my life. And I just want to be, maybe you can edit this out, but I got to be mindful of time. I only got a little bit more, like maybe I got maybe like 5-10 minutes left on this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so we definitely got it. Okay, so let's kind of fast forward a little bit since you mentioned that. I'm glad you told me. Yeah, because I mean we could speak all day, but I mean I hope that you could revisit this platform because we definitely gotta because there's so much there's so much more that we need to discuss. So I'm hoping that you return back. So I'm glad you. All right, so let's because but before we get I need to know did you pledge any
Did I pledge any frats? I ain't pledged no frat. I ain't pledged Alpha. I ain't pledged Omega.
Don't freeze up on me. Omega?
Okay. No. I got scholarships from both the Kappas and the Q Dogs. And they kind of use that as a pipeline to get us a part of it, but I didn't pledge nothing. I had fell in with the Afrocentric people. And they was like, why is a black man going to pledge a Greek fraternity? And I was like, yeah. That's right, brother. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of fell in with them folks. But just to make a short story long, real quick, there's two major things that happened at FAMU that set my course and trajectory. The first one was meeting Dr. Dana Denard, who really grounded us in African spirituality. And the second was my roommate, Jay English, who at the time was a rapper with a group called First Ad. So Dr. Denard really shaped my understanding of Blackness for real. And Jay English, he got me into like lyric writing. Now, Jay was from the hood. He from Trenton, New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? And he was from the section at Trenton, New Jersey. But Jay got me into the art of writing punchlines. I would take that later on.
Okay.
And after, so the summer I graduated with my degree, I got beat up by the police. I got handcuffed to a chair and beat by the cops. And it gave me PTSD and whatnot. Like, so I'm saying, I'm about to fast forward through this. But when I went to St. Louis for my internship in acting, I fell into spoken word poetry, and I used that punchline game to become a very potent slam poet. And with that, kind of at the time period, it was war on terror. The war in Iraq had started, and it seemed like Black folks wasn't really paying attention. So my job was to try to wake them up with my spoken word poetry, is where I could combine both theater and activism. And me getting beat up by the police made me want to be an activist. So
absolutely,
you know what I'm saying? So that guided my activism into the point where my homeboy Alonzo got killed 8 years later by the police. And at that time, I started this organization called Shop Talk Live. I didn't start it. I was a part of the founding Shop Talk Live, where we use barbershops to be a foundation for when Black men can like really have real heartfelt conversations. You know, brothers already talk there. So we use it in just organized forums. And this became absorbed into the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes.
And so I was on the protests and whatnot. And I realized that I could probably make more traction online because only so many people showed up to a protest, but I realized I could talk and look nice on camera. So I was like, let me go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, get some cell phone videos. Ended up going viral and building my platforms, and the rest of they say is history. So,
yeah, when can you come back, Theo? Because we gotta finish this. Because see, that's not right. You ain't gonna leave me hanging like this. When you come back, can you come back? Oh, what you doing later?
listen. I'm all good. I still gotta get some shopping done for my babies and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I got two daughters. Me and my wife. I've been married for 5 years. You know, so me and my wife got two daughters, and they're upstairs taking their nap, which is why I schedule now.
Okay.
I schedule now because it's nap time, but I still got to get some stuff. You know what I mean? So I do really appreciate you making time for me today. You know.
Yeah. But before you go, because I mean, like I said, I had some fun stuff for you too. So we definitely got to come back soon because we got to pick this up. But I want to know, like, when you mentioned about your artistry, and I want to know what kind of lines did you use to get this beautiful young woman right here? What kind of lines did you use?
What kind of line did I use? You know what? I was like, girl, I'm a baller. Shot caller, 20-inch blades on an Impala. You know what I'm saying? No, basically, I got her with the truth. I just, you know, I told my wife who I am and what I've been through. And I told her, you know, she could take it or leave it, and she took it. So I took her, and then, you know, before we knew it, you know, we married and we got two daughters. So yeah, but my wife is just, you know, just uplift my life in all kind of ways, you know. So like I said, I knew I was going to end up with a sister because it's just how I'm wired.
Okay.
It's just how, you know what I'm saying? It's just how I'm wired. And I've dated outside my race before, but I've always, just on a pure sexual level, I desire Black women more. Even if you could take out the ideological, which of course there's alignment there, which of course is, you know what I'm saying, the spiritual thing there. But just on a physical tip, I find sisters more attractive. Just physically, you know what I'm saying? Sisters bad, they got what I like. Sisters bad, they got what I like. You know what I'm saying? I can't help it. This is who I am. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that I was going to have to find all the things I needed in a sister, and I did. You know what I mean?
And I'm glad you did. You know, but congrats to you both, and thank you for sharing some of your love story. Like I said, because I know you just scratched the surface on that one. Yeah. So, but how much time you have? Time check. How much time you have?
I probably got to get off here in the next couple minutes, sis.
Well, okay. All
Yeah.
righty. Yeah. So, yeah, but we'll hold off because, like I said, I don't want to rush through this. Like whatever it is, but I don't want to rush
Yeah.
through that. But just let me know, like I said, what your availability is. I don't know whether you be later on tonight, or like we want to just do it a whole nother day. Like you just let me know how you wanna to do it.
Okay, sis. Thank you very much. I appreciate you making time for me, like I said, and yeah, I hope your audience enjoyed themselves. And
No, yes.
yeah,
You did. Believe me, that's why I said that's why you need to come back and finish this. Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
cool.
We definitely need to come back. But any final words for now? For now.
I would just say, I would say, study to show thyself to prove, folks. A lot of people like what I like say, but the fact is, I'm always learning. I'm always learning, taking things in and distilling them and making them my own. And I think that that's the path, you know. So yeah.
Absolutely. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Theo E.J. Wilson. This is part one.
Part one. She said part one.
Yes,
All right, cool.
title for part one, because that will be in this, more motivation for you to make sure that you get back to part two, because we definitely got to make this happen. So thank you so much for being here with us, and I hope you have a good one. And God bless you.
Yes, ma'am. You take care.
All righty. Yes, yes. So this is such an honor for me. I am so geeked up. So I'm hoping, like I said, pretty soon we're going to arrange a part two to this, because trust me, I'm not done with this, brother, yet. So trust and believe we're going to be back soon for a part two. So thank you so much for being a part of this experience. I don't even want to call it an interview. I'm going to call it an experience, because that's exactly what it was. And I hope that you was able to take so much from this as possible, because there's so much more that I want us to get into. But, due to time constraints, I do understand that there's, responsibilities that need to be had. So just make sure that you tune in to the part two of this. And I thank you guys so much for just being among us here today, whether you were in the chat, or whether you was in the bushes, or you catch the replay. Please make sure you catch whatever it is that you was able to receive from Mr. Wilson. And please make sure that you tune in on this coming Wednesday, April 15th. I'm going to be interviewing with Nita K. That is on Wednesday, April 15th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so thank you so much for being here. You know how much of a blessing it is to have these wonderful people on my platform to talk with me. So it's so amazing to be able to have them on. So in the meantime, please make sure that you do this.
Like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, you gotta like, share, and subscribe.
Ooh, I like that.
You like the content,
Yes,
share,
I
and
like that.
subscribe. Oh,
Yeah.
you got to like, share, and subscribe.